Thanks for joining us this week on Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. Join your hosts Chris Marriott and Paul Schreiner each week as they talk email marketing, life, purpose, faith, but mainly email marketing. If you're looking for some normalcy in these crazy times, you've come to the right place.
Welcome back to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. Hopefully we won't be at home that much longer, but until then, glad to be here. My name is Paul Schreiner. I'm one of the founders here at Audience Point. With me, my friend and colleague,
Chris Marriott. And we're here kicking off season 3 of our show. This season's theme is the builders, and we'll be featuring people who built great companies, built great brands, built great email programs, and even great television series. So we're really excited. We've got some great
television series,
exactly. And we're kicking off this week with Kalpit Jain, who's CEO of NetCore Solutions, and he'll be joining us shortly. And we're very, very excited and grateful that he was able to join the show.
And at this point, this is when we would give a call out to our sponsor, which, what in the world? It's Audience Point. But I do want to give a shout out. I know, because we've been doing some, I love the theme of builders, because we've been doing some fantastic product development work. Something I'm so excited about. We're kind of on the cusp of a pretty big release. So I don't know, when we're talking about builders, it hits near and dear, because as a product company delivering sort of high-end, white glove kind of service to customers, product is sort of the foundation of the whole thing. So engagement-based enterprise product that really answers the questions marketers are asking. And it's cool to be a part of that. And it's cool to be a part of that being the sponsor of our show, which is about to begin.
So enjoy.
Welcome back to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. We have a special guest with us today, Kalpit. Excited to get to talk to him. Chris, would you mind introducing our good friend?
No, I'm pleased. We're thrilled kicking off, as we said in the pre-show, season 3, the builders, with truly someone who could be called a builder. Kalpit Jain is CEO of NetCore Solutions, which is a Mumbai-based company with 20 plus years of delivering value for more than 5,000 brands across the globe. It is literally one of the largest, if not the largest, MarTech company in the Asia Pacific region. We're going to be talking about their big play coming into the US and where that's going. But since his arrival, he joined them in 1998 as a programmer, steadily risen the ranks as he's contributed to building the company up to his role as group CEO. So Kalpit, welcome. We're so thrilled to kick off season 3 with you today.
Hey, thanks, Chris, Paul, having me on the show. So it's really a pleasure to be on the show with y'all.
Excellent.
Glad to have you.
Paul, should we talk about what we're drinking before we launch into the grilling?
I think we should. I think we should. Do you want me to start? Is that what you brought that up?
Okay, you start. Yeah.
It's all right.
All right. I'll start. You know what? And it's great that I got a note from a fan today who appreciates my focus on what. So I'm drinking, as I usually do, Santo Domingo coffee from the Dominican Republic, and I know Kalpit, you've graciously, I know, watched several episodes, so you know what comes next. We talk about Paul's failed vacation in the Dominican Republic. And each week I try to remind him that we're all going through that with him. And today I had a fan reach out on LinkedIn literally just this morning, and she's from the Dominican Republic, and she greatly appreciates the fact that we support products from the Dominican Republic and talk about her country. So thank you for being a big fan. And again, it's in my regular coffee mug, which is hard to read, but it's the Blu-ray backdoor coffee mug.
Well, Chris, today I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking an ugly energy drink. One of our former guests came on the show and really like it. You know what I mean? It's we're recording a little bit later today, so I usually do coffee in the morning. So, but it's good to have, good to share. Glad to again throw out some shout outs to folks we got to meet in the past. In the future, we'll have net core drinks all over the place. Don't worry about it.
Well, and Kalpit, it's evening in India. I don't know exactly what time. So, what did you bring to the show?
I got some hot coffee in a mug,
Excellent.
which is very special to me.
And what makes the mug special to you?
It's gifted by my younger sister on one of the religious day called the Raksha Bandhan.
Okay.
So she's kind of printed it over here called Best Brother Ever.
Well,
I love that.
Aptly said. So let's get to talking about NetCore Solutions and your role there. You've spoken in the past on some other podcasts that you didn't get serious about your studies until you had a fight with one of your best friends. Prior to that, you were very much into cricket, which, as most of our listeners know, is the sport of India. But that at some point you got in a fight with your friend, and you didn't go. In order to avoid him, instead of going out to the pitch, if that's what they call
I think that's what they call it. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm looking very educated. Instead of going out to the pitch, you stayed in school, and as a result, you were doing more studying. That's a great story. But what our listeners and viewers really want to know is, what was the fight about? Because you've never spoken about what was the fight about. So I hope we're not picking up, we're scratching old wounds, but
I kind of hope we are scratching old wounds.
this is an important, this is an earth-shaking, a life-changing fight.
Yes.
So we'd like to know, what were you fighting about?
So actually, we were on the cricket pitch and we were playing cricket, and we happened to have some disagreement on how the wicket really fell. So I had my view. So I had my views, he had his views, and because it was not a very formal cricket, we were just playing amongst ourselves in a small ground.
Right.
We kind of picked up the topic and we said, you are right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's where we said, okay, I'm leaving the game and I'm going home. This is not the way I think I should be playing with you. So sorry, sorry, and thank you very much. I'm walking away. And it was a very small thing, honestly. If I look back today after so many years, and we are still very good friends. My friend is actually in the US. He's working in one of the very large firms over there, and he comes here almost every year, and we meet up, for a couple of hours, and we'll keep remembering this incident of what happened almost now, 30 years back.
Yes.
Wow.
A very small episode, but resulted into me staying back at home and college for long, and that kind of turned around my life, I would say, to a great extent. I had just kind of graduated out of 10th grade, and he was 1 year younger to me. So I was getting into college, he was getting into the 10th grade, and I think that's where the whole thing happened.
Got it. Now, did you say I'm taking my bat and going home?
Yeah, kind of. I didn't have a bat at that time, but that's why I'm walking away from the ground, and I'm really not interested to play with you. This is not how we play cricket. And, a very, very small thing.
Right. Well,
turned up into some. Into something what is very ugly. Ugly episode, I should say.
But you know what? It's interesting that's what the fight was about, because I think, a lot of us growing up, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the sports weren't as organized as they are today, and we had to referee our own games.
Right.
Every game was not an official game, and I think, we all learned the art of negotiation.
Well, absolutely.
Much better, right? I mean, because those fights were not unusual. We had fights all the time. We'd have pickup baseball games in my neighborhood, and we'd have to negotiate over whether someone was out or safe. We had no video replay. We had no ump. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes, we'd pick up our bats and go home. But if you weren't able to, most of the time, sort these things out amongst yourselves, you couldn't play the game. And I think, a lot of people coming to the workforce today, and I know I've taken a little bit of a tangent, and Paul loves what I do, but a lot of people...
I'm ready to jump on your tangent.
All right, well, why don't you jump on my tangent?
My game for negotiation was Foursquare. And part of the reason I love Foursquare so much, which is, Foursquare is sort of taped out on a cement flat pad and a bouncy ball. And the only rule we know is one person serves cross court, right? From that point on, every single rule is made up. And it comes down to your ability to sort of persuade, negotiate. Like, no, we need this rule. Like, no, you can't cross serve. No double bouncies. Got to be an underhanded serve. Like, but to your point, Chris, like so much of who I am professionally has grown out of the schoolyard, right? And my ability to be like, so I know you don't want to hear this, but you're out because the ball was clearly on, a liner, and we call liners out.
Well, so good. So we clearly all learned on the schoolyard and in sports activities the art of compromise, the art of negotiation, the art of persuasion, and
absolutely.
And clearly it's helped Calpit to the heights of industry. Another thing that I was really interested in that you haven't talked about, you mentioned in an interview, but you talked about, NetCore has been around, I think, since 1990. What was the year it was founded?
1998.
That's what I thought. Okay. But it wasn't until 2008, 10 years into the company's history, that you decided to add email marketing. And this show, we know this is exciting that we actually have an email guest, because we haven't done too much of that. So let's talk about email marketing and your decision. What made you guys pivot to email marketing at that time?
2008.
Yeah. So let me start where NetCore really started. 1998 is where NetCore was founded to basically run corporate email communications for a lot of mid enterprises and large enterprises in India. Back then, Linux was very new to the overall, I would say, industry, Linux operating system. And Microsoft Exchange and Lotus Notes were the two biggest corporate email solutions available in those days. And our founder thought that, India as a country requires a very cost-effective solution, which companies could then, run and provide mailboxes to its employees. Way back in 1998, enterprises in India would not give email addresses to every employee. It was given to very selective people because Microsoft Exchange and Lotus Notes were pretty expensive. And email overall was not being used by a lot of employees. So we wanted to come up with a cost-effective solution which a lot of enterprises could benefit from. And that's where we introduced NetCore's corporate email solution way back in 1998. And which is where, initially I also spent a couple of my time building out the product. And 2001 is where when we were offering this corporate mailbox solutions, enterprises said, hey, we're getting a lot of spam and viruses. Why don't you help us protect from these spam and viruses which are getting into our mailbox? So we built India's first cloud-based anti-spam, anti-virus solution,
right.
For a lot of companies in India. And we were really proud in those days to really, we call it B2B SaaS today, but we had actually built a cloud-based anti-spam, antivirus solution. So that's how our acquaintance with email overall as kind of, as a subject kind of really got ourselves very good understanding of how email works. What does it require to filter out spam messages? What does it require to filter out virus messages? And kind of that business, kind of ran till 2008. Until 2008, we had at least in 2006, 2007 in India, email marketing was not so big.
Right.
A lot of companies were not doing as much of email marketing. Actually, it used to be called bulk emailing or mass emailing back in those days in India. So in 2007, one of our customers who were using our email solution, the corporate email solution, came to us and said, why don't you, run email marketing for us? We said, no. Email marketing means, sending out spam. We've been the guys who've been protecting the spam coming into your network. So we are not going to be, we're not going to be the ones who will allow you to send out spam emails. So almost 6 months to 8 months went by. The client came back and he had a very good relationship with me. So he says, I'll really request if you can just do it, set up an in-house email server for us through which we can send out those emails. and you don't have to worry about IP reputation. You don't have to worry about domain reputation. All of that, we will take care of it. You just set up the infrastructure for us. So we said, okay, we'll just set it up for him. So we set up the entire infrastructure, but within few weeks, he realized that his mails were not getting delivered. So he came back to us, say, you set it up, but mails are not going. And I said, I knew it will not go because you are not going to follow some of the good practices of sending out emails. So he says, why don't you teach it to us, right? So you know about email. Why don't you guys help us, train us, and teach it to us? So we kind of did some of that, and we were able to fix a lot of his email delivery issues. And then one more client came and says, if you've done it for this guy, why don't you do it for me also?
Of course.
And I said, no, we are not doing this again. This time, let me create a server on the cloud and let me offer you a cloud-based email marketing solution. And that's where our journey for email marketing actually started. We were a lot more hesitant initially, but I think the push from our customers, existing clients, actually, made us get into email marketing in 2008 timeframe.
And that makes sense. Nerd question, Paul. Was this all built on the back of kind of a Linux solution because it was so early and very cost effective? So you were doing a lot, like probably send mail based stuff. I mean, there's a lot of manual levers to pull, but to your point, you could absolutely get to the place of being a very cost effective solution through that.
Absolutely.
Did that technology that you originally wrote sort of in the so that 98 to 2008, which is your corporate email product, did any of that code find its way all the way to sort of your commercial product and even probably still in place today?
So in early 2008, 2009, when we really, started growing our email marketing, we obviously used Postfix as the main mail transfer agent to deliver emails for the email marketing programs which we ran for a lot of companies. But eventually we realized that the open source MTAs have limited scale options available, and we had to kind of rewrite the entire MTA from scratch, which is what we wrote it eventually.
Okay.
Some of the components are still probably there somewhere in the system for internal email transfer, and for some of the other things we still use Postfix as an MTA for internal email routing. But a lot of the components to great extent have been rewritten because back then we were sending a few millions of emails a month. Today we send more than 10 billion emails a month.
Right.
So the volume of emails have gone up exponentially, and the existing systems could just not support it.
Yeah, orders of magnitude. No, it always, especially companies that have been around a long time, it's interesting to kind of think through some of the code that was written back, 98, 99 in good, I don't know how long this is going to be in place, but I'm just going to do my very best to put some decent code in place. And here it is 20 years later, and it's still valuable, right? It's still doing its job. Love it. I know, nerd Paul.
Yeah, but but even I was interested, Paul, so good questions. There are two core products to, and as everyone knows, or at least if they're tuning in here, what my company does is manage RFPs, and there are two core products that make up NetCore Solutions, and I'd love it if you could describe how they differ to our audience and who they each are for. One of them is Peppy Posts, which you've only launched, I don't know, a couple of years ago, which is less well known in the US than it is, I think, in other parts of the globe. But for folks who at home, it's a transactional platform like a SendGrid, like a Mailgun, like a SparkPost.
Yep.
But you also have Smart Tech, and which has been a product of yours long before you launched Peppy Post. So, what is the distinction between, again, what is the distinction between these two product lines, and to whom is each targeted towards?
No, great question. In fact, both the two products solved actually two separate problems for companies. So let me tell you about Smart Tech first, and then I'll get to Peppy Post. So,
okay, great.
A lot of companies, a lot of marketeers across the globe actually want a very strong campaign management platform through which they could upload the list, upload the creative, and then there would be a blast of that campaign going out to the end consumers. So Smart Tech started off as an email campaign management product way back in 2008. where companies said, I want to upload the list, I want to upload the creative, let me do some basic segmentation, and then the email should be going out, to all my consumers. Eventually, SmartTech grew to be an omni-channel customer engagement platform, where today we have support for 10 channels, which marketers could communicate to their consumers. So right from email to an SMS to WhatsApp to a Facebook custom audience, to a push app notification, to a web push notification. So across all of these 10 digital channels where you can actually reach out a consumer to, SmartTech is a product which basically a marketer can operate and can use it all by himself.
Okay.
To do all of this customer engagement, customer retention, strategies. You could create journeys on the platform and saying, if the user has been sent an email and is not yet opened the email, send him an SMS, let's say after 3 hours, send him a push notifications after 5 hours. So all of those journeys, all of those rules can be created on the SmartTech platform, and is generally being used by a lot of marketing folks across different enterprises.
Okay.
Then there is this other need of brand saying, I don't require a campaign management platform. I have a third-party product through which I can already create those emails, or I have internal applications, financial applications, which are already creating those emails. I just need APIs to deliver those communications.
Yep.
Which is where Peppy Post comes in and says, okay, you want to only deliver the communication. You don't want any intelligence of how to create the campaign or how to do the segmentation or how to create the journeys. Great. You have this very simple product, Peppy Post, to which you consume the APIs and just deliver the emails across the clients.
Right.
But the delivery of email happens to this common layer of Peppy Post today. So SmartTech, when it has to deliver the emails, it finally consumes the APIs of Peppy Post at the back end to help deliver the emails to the enterprises.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So, so in essence, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure we make this clear to the. In essence, what that means is NetCore is possibly the only MarTech company in the email space that offers both sort of a full service operational platform that, as you said, and in my mind then would compete with a Zeta Global, an Epsilon, a Cheetah Digital. So you got that platform, SmartTech. And then you have Peppy Post, which again competes in an entirely different segment. Again, we said earlier, Mailgun and Spark Post. And that's pretty amazing, because I don't know anyone else, Paul. I mean, if you can think of somebody, I don't know anybody else who's playing in both spaces. And I think, my 2 cents, Calpit, is, that's a pretty smart move, because they don't compete against each other. As you said, they're operating very distinct, and they are targeting distinctly different types of clients.
Well, and most of those customers have, like, as you're talking, Chris, the ones I know, they have that sort of full service, again, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Responses, whatever, right? Zeta. But they also have a transactional endpoint that they use, right?
Right.
They're paying for SendGrid or Mailgun or whatever else. And so the idea of having a one-stop shop where, hey, can we have all of our mail and have the same AE? And, again, I think that's a great plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the other reasons now we are realizing that companies are now saying, can you help us build a single unified view of my customer across all my promotional campaigns as well as transactional emails?
Yep.
And which is where having this common platform now is really helping us, because we are able to pull the data across the 2 platforms and then able to build a single unified view for an enterprise and say, here is how you've been communicating and engaging with your consumers. So if you can now create frequency based, saying, okay, if the user has raised a support request, don't send him a promotional campaign for the next 1 week to 10 days because he's already opened up a ticket in your system and he's complaining about some service or product related issues. So I think having these 2 platforms together also gives us the advantage of now stitching the data between the 2 platforms and then build a single unified view of the customer across both the promotional as well as the transactional channels.
Well, and I'll tell you what, on the email side, you guys made a big move this last week, and the fact that we have you scheduled, I'm pretty sure the The sick thing was just so that we didn't ask about this last week. You hired on a giant in our industry, someone that is respected by a lot of people. And everyone I talked to said, what a great hire. What a great hire. And you, I'm sure know who I'm talking about, Matt Vernell, right? Tell me about that, because that was a great pickup, I think.
I think so. So just a little step back, right? Almost 18 months to 20 months back is where we decided that we need to get into the US and the North America market a lot more seriously. We've been growing in India, in Southeast Asia and Middle East reasonably well. Today, almost 70 to 75% of unicorns in India and Southeast Asia use us. So pretty much all the B2C unicorns in India, if you really ask me, and in Southeast Asia have been using Netcore. And we've been able to successfully replace some of the best of the ESPs, across the globe with our solutions. And we said, why are we then holding ourselves only back into these markets, and why don't we go into the market which probably is the most important and the largest market? So that's where our journey in the US business started. And I think as most of the companies who start operations in the US, especially the ones who come from this part of the world and kind of want to get into the US, do have their own set of initial challenges establishing the business. But I think over the last 18 months we've been growing reasonably well, and we said now we need to grow a lot more faster.
Yeah.
We already had a lot of plans of making sure that we invest and we continuously invest large amounts to make sure that we make this business successful. We said one of the ways to also now grow very fast is to get some of the industry people who really come with a lot of rich experience, with a lot of industry relationships, and which is where one of the most important roles in email especially is the email deliverability. And when you get someone who is absolutely the most experienced guy, at least in this ecosystem, it made a lot of sense. Our CRO, Barry, who's joined us from SparkPost, who is an ex-SparkPost guy, he's kind of, recommended us saying that, Kalpit, Matt would be a great add-on to our team, and it'll just completely change the way companies are going to look at Netcore. Given that we are from India, we still don't have a very established brand in the North America market.
Yeah.
Matthew would really be the great asset to the organization. And without too much of thinking of, after a couple of interactions with Matthew, we realized that he's probably the best in the industry today.
Yeah.
We just got him. We're lucky enough to have him on board.
Kudos to you.
I always like to say that it's extremely important for even American-based ESPs to have people that are known to the industry, because they're MarTech companies, they're big sprawling companies in many cases, and having people who are the face of the company, I think helps extraordinarily keep you, gain your visibility at conferences, having people author and those types of things that things are going to read. So I agree with Paul, tremendous hire, and Barry was a tremendous hire. You've made some very good strategic hires. I want to get back to this platform geek stuff, Paul, for just a second.
That's all right. I have another follow-up after that too.
Because and then I want to steer toward the American market. But Kalpit, one of the other things I think you guys have prepped for, again, you've got this enterprise platform, you've got this transactional platform, and I love the fact, as you pointed out, that because you have both, there's no need for any other sort of MTA in the cloud to be involved in sending emails in a lot of these other enterprise platforms attached to these other MTAs in the cloud, and you've got everything. But I also think, and I don't know if it was deliberate or not, but love to hear your thoughts. What I see as well, I've been writing a lot recently and talking a lot about the collision of CDPs and ESPs in the US market. And where I really see and in many cases, as I've said, a lot of these ESPs do have CDPs inside, or they're developing them at the enterprise level. Interested in your thoughts on smart tech there, but also that there's for companies that have brands that have invested in a CDP, pretty much all the email platform they need is a transactional email platform like a Pepe Post. So, again, was that another deliberate sort of, we see this happening, we see these CDPs, so we need a player that can, for a client that says, we got it, we've invested all this money in this CDP, we don't want to overlap and get too much ESP. What can you do for us? And you can say, now I got Peppy Post. So talk a little bit about your thinking about reaction to the CDP market. And I know there's a long question, so whether there's a CDP inside or a CDP inside coming with Smart Tech, and how deliberate was Peppy Post as a product for the CDP invested clients?
Yeah, so SmartTech today, eventually, so in 2008, it was a pure email campaign management platform. But in 2014, 15 is where we realized that companies now require a single platform through which they could send out communication across different digital channels. Not just that, but companies also now wanted to listen to how their consumers are, interacting with the brands on the website or on the app. So in 2014-15 is where we started really building this whole omni-channel piece of Smart Tech, where we said we will now start listening to what the consumers are, how the consumers are interacting with the brand, which means we will put up a JavaScript on the brand's website and we'll start collecting consumer behavioral data. We'll put up the code inside we'll give an SDK which can be integrated into the brand's app, and we'll start listening to what the consumer is doing on the app of a brand. And which is where we started to listen to all the behavioral data. We started flowing into our system. Then we built up a very strong analytical and a segmentation layer, and then eventually the delivery layer. So that's how the whole platform kind of got built. And we actually looked at it in 2016 and 17, and we said, this is actually a marketing CDP, which we've already built for brands.
Right.
It's not a true CDP yet, but it's a marketing CDP because you're now taken the web data, you've taken the app data, you've taken the engagement on email. All of that data is actually getting there, and the marketer, you're giving the choice to the marketer to now segment the data, and basically run analytics on top of that data, and then finally deliver those campaigns. So that's how SmartTech actually got built. Peppy Post honestly was not built with that thought process of saying, because we're going to have a CDP at some point, we need to really have this delivery layer. It came in because of a clear need we saw in the market where we were operating back in 2015, 16, saying that, companies wanted an API-based platform to deliver emails.
Yep.
We work with a lot of banking customers back in India, and many of them actually send out a lot of OTP emails. They send out a lot of transactional alerts on email, and that's where the need came out, because those emails could have never gone through the SmartTech platform, because the OTP or the transactional emails are getting created at the customer or at the bank's end.
Right.
So that's how Peppy Post kind of got created. But now, if in the last 1 year or so, is where we realized that since we've got both of these platforms and we're collecting a lot of consumer behavioral data, a true CDP makes an absolute perfect sense for us to really getting into. And you're absolutely, a lot of ESPs, a lot of marketing tech companies are eventually will build CDPs within themselves. Some of them will definitely want to piggyback on some of the clear big players in the CDP space, but eventually a lot of them are, according to me, and we are seeing that happening with a lot of companies, they're building a lot of their own CDP solution, and which is what Netco is already on that path of saying, okay, how do we now start building our own CDP solutions, given that we have so much of consumer data which we are already collecting on behalf of the brands. Now it's only about how do I start collecting data from third-party sources into our CDP, and do probabilistic matching of how the consumers are there, and then basically give a true CDP to our enterprises.
Right. Good. Paul, I got to follow up unless I go on these.
Go ahead.
runs.
Mine's a little bit different, so go ahead.
Okay. So when you look at the U.S., Kalpit, are you looking? And again, if you don't want to answer, totally get it, because we're getting the heart of your strategy. Are you coming? Is Smart Tech? What are you leading with? I mean, it appears right now. It appears that you're leading with Peppy Post. Now that I could be incorrect on that, but are you leading with Peppy Post? And is there a plan for Smart Tech to all, are you going to be competing in both those spaces in the US, if not now, in the future?
In the future, definitely yes. And as we talk today, we are not only talking about Peppy Posts. In fact, if I look at our existing clients, 50% of our clients are already on the SmartTech email campaign management platform already.
Okay.
So there are a lot of brands who are already, and we've replaced the likes of MailChimp, Klaviyo, and Iterable in some of these clients. So we are already there with our email campaign management platform in the US market. The full stack marketing automation platform is something which we will definitely, get to the US market.
And lastly, sorry, Paul, I have a follow-up. Is there any thought, and maybe this is something you're already providing in APAC. So we said you've got a transactional platform in Peppy Post. You have I would call an enterprise, full operational platform in SmartTech. Now there's that last layer that some ESPs in this country provide and that others have stopped providing, and that's services.
Yep.
What are your thoughts around providing, and when I say services, I'm talking more the value add services, not the campaign production type things, but rather, analytics and strategy and custom engineering and creative. Are there any plans? I mean, do you already offer that in parts of the world? Are there any plans in the US to include that?
No, I think services are very, very core to what Netcore does today. While it's not one of the biggest revenue streams for us, we've realized that as we've started offering a lot more complex marketing tech solutions, some of these marketing tech solutions have become very complex over a period of time. Initially, It was only email campaign management. Now it's a full stack marketing automation platform. We've also added a layer of personalization on top of it. We've already added a layer of machine learning and AI on top of it. So the entire stack has become a lot more complex, and services have been core to what Netcore has been doing right from 2008 onwards, when we actually launched our email platform. Because in India, email marketing was very new.
Yep.
Companies didn't know how to really run email campaigns, what are the best email marketing practices, what creatives, what segments, what day of the time, what subject line are the best where you can get the maximum engagement.
Yep.
So we've actually built a team of what we call in the customer success management team, which is a very strong pillar for Netcore when we actually go to a lot of our customers. And the same is what we want to really bring to the US once we start getting more and more customers. We actually have now started. We already have a CSM team with one person in the North America market and one person in India already servicing our clients. But we believe services are going to be very core to all what Netcore will offer, and that's probably would be one of our another differentiator. When we really go out to the market, because we actually go back to the customer and says, we'll own up the KPIs on your behalf. So let's go own the KPIs.
Yep.
You taking my product, I will give you. You want what? 10% better conversions? Okay, let's go on it. We'll work with you very closely. We'll work like your marketing teams. We will work closely on strategies which you should be running for your consumers, and we'll make it happen for you. So that's the thought process we've always had, right? From the time when we actually introduced our email marketing services in 2008.
Sure.
And Paul knows I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm a big fan of having that services component. I think that I think that's always. I think it makes you stickier. I think it makes you more valuable. I think that's I applaud that as an overall strategy. I think that's yet another good move by Netcore.
Well, Chris is a fanboy. I'll be honest, and for good reason. For good reason. And one of the things I wanted to sort of run towards a little bit, because this is the thing that really interests me, is a little bit more around the cultural issues. You've got an Indian company doing business worldwide, and I mean, there's everything from sort of the cultural issues of sort of Western versus Indian versus all that, but also, I mean, even less sort of nuanced. The name itself, Netcore. I'm sure you've gotten emails or letters from our good friends at Microsoft, or you've sent letters to our good friends at Microsoft that say, you've got this new product called .NET Core. and our name is NetCore, right? Like, so there's some challenges about working internationally that, if, hey, I'm just a regional ESP, I work with small or whatever businesses, it's a different game. Tell me how you've navigated that.
Yeah, so the name was created in 1998. I was very young in the organization, but the whole concept was internet in India was growing.
Yep.
So the net comes from the word internet, and we thought the internet would be the core to all what's going to happen.
Right.
That's how the name really got created. We've been having this challenge of the brand, especially when you said about .NET.
Core.
Microsoft, yeah.
I mean, what a bold move on their part, right? We've got this new product called .NET Core. It's different, Calpit. Totally different. There's a dot at the beginning.
Absolutely, but yeah, that's been I would say that's been a challenge for us, to really make NetCore a very strong brand in the US. And yeah, we've actually just hired a VP marketing last week.
Okay.
So we're also going to make that announcement, who's going to really help us shape some of our branding and our overall marketing strategy for us. She comes again from a good B2B SaaS background. So we hope to tackle that, the problem a little bit. It's going to be a problem. We know about it, but NetCore as a name has been existing for the last 18 plus years before we got, we are huge. So we didn't want to let the word NetCore go away at all. It's going to cost us a few more millions of dollars to build a brand in the US market, but I think we are ready for it. I think there is a great brand association which NetCore has in a lot of companies. We service more than 5,000 enterprises globally. And there was an absolute strong reason for us not to, move out of the word NetCore.
I wouldn't move out of the name NetCore. Again, you've got the name, you've had it since '98, and it was Microsoft that sort of came in and tried to flex you out, right? Like, yeah. But this gets, I think, the bigger question, which is operating in it internationally, right? Had you said, hey, we're an Indian or Southeast Asian player, that's what we do, period. Microsoft's like, whatever, or you're like, whatever, Microsoft, right? The point is, because you're operating internationally, because they're operating internationally, there are tensions that are created. So I'm curious, how do you go about managing those as the CEO? Because that's a lot of what you're facing, which is, how do I build strategic relationships? How do I find the best talent? How do I make sure that the brand, you're the biggest brand ambassador? Tell me about how you handle those things. I'd love to hear that perspective.
Yeah, so I think it's been a great I would say experience. I would say over the last, especially over the last 20 months, while we started expanding in the North America market. While we were expanding in Southeast Asia, Middle East, we didn't face as much of an issue because our legacy of India really helped us, gain a lot of strength in those markets. In this market, it's not been an easy. We've had our own team members coming and saying, "Oh, this name probably does not sound as interesting. It's not as new as what probably the market over here would expect." But once we tell them the 20-year-old story of NetCore. Yeah. And the fact that we have so many customers, I think a lot of those battles are won quite fast for us.
Okay.
The fact today we work with some very large unicorns, and the value we are able to bring on the table for a lot of our customers, and we are able to show this to not just our own employees who work in the North America market, but also to a lot of the customers.
Right.
The success stories and everything that's been really helpful, but it's not been absolute cakewalk for us. I think, that's been the experience so far, I would say. We've not come across heavily or aggressively on how are we competing with the .NET core of Microsoft yet. So we are yet to come across to that challenge. We know we're going to hit that. Block at some point of time, but I think we the whole thought process right now is continue to invest in the brand, continue to invest in building success stories for brands. And I think if we do these two things, and our customers are happy finally using us, I think they will remember us. The name is okay, but I think if they see the value we are able to bring for them, we recently had a very nice testimonial from one of our clients of saying how Netco really helped them get their entire email domain warmed up in just 15 days flat. And they were able to scale up 15 days flat. And, in fact, that's a great testimonial we have from the client. So I think some of these testimonials, some of these success stories we will be able to build from our customers are going to speak a lot more than anything else.
Absolutely. Well, and I think the other thing that's part of just the reason, I won't say the reason, it's part of the culture of Netcore. You're hiring great people, right? And those great people contribute to the culture of Netcore, and then that sort of spills out over onto the customers of Netcore. So, as you expand, both Barry and Matt are great pickups, but also, kudos to your team, to the full size team all around, willing and able to embrace these big challenges.
Absolutely. It's a teamwork. So obviously we could not have done all of this sitting out of India.
Right.
There was no way we could have built out, or we're still actually in the phase of building out. So we've not yet built out the business. I would say we are still in the mode of building it out. But there was no way we could have built it out sitting out of India. That is something which we realized it reasonably early in the exercise.
Right.
Yeah, and I think to Paul's point, I think it is important to emphasize that the folks you've sent here, like Tejas and others, have also done, I think, a tremendous job.
Yep.
Raising the company profile and their own profile. There's a lot of people from the organization that came over from India who I think are also contributing to what's going on, and I applaud that. I have another. I'm gonna go back to because this competition or where you fit in the U.S. market or want to fit still fascinates me. And if you look at historically, ESPs that have come to this country that aren't U.S. based but have come over have pretty much been Europe. And like Celigent and Destra and Dot Digital and Amarsis, all really good ESPs, but none of whom ever had to face the volumes of emails that the U.S. brands at the top want to send, the billions of emails they want to send. And I think as a result, they've tended to focus on the mid-market, the high mid, maybe low enterprise, as they try to scale up to the types of volumes that the really big emailers in the U.S. send.
Right.
And again, because they were built for a much smaller European market where email volumes are much smaller. So I'm going to get to my point. You come from a market, India, where there are also massive email volumes. So, so where do you see ultimately? I mean, you mentioned earlier that your Smart Tech is also already taking some people off of Klaviyo and MailChimp, but I think of them as SMB platforms. So ultimately, great success in getting off there, but are you looking ultimately to carve out share at the true enterprise level for Smart Tech, or do you see yourself playing? And again, you don't have to answer this because I'm getting the core of your strategy, but I'm fascinated by, because again, you do have that experience and scale that these other companies haven't. So are you looking at the enterprise, or are you looking at the mid-market, low enterprise ultimately as your sweet spot?
Yeah, so as we talk, and I might not be able to tell you exactly how we are going about doing this, but as we are talking, the focus right now is on mid-market, upper mid-market segment, but eventually we want to really go, and we want to, have some good logos on our side. Yeah. We want to have some very good reference success stories before we really go out to those large enterprises, because the moment we get to those large enterprises and when the RFPs come out, reference customer success stories are going to become very, very important. And they would want it from that market and right. More than markets like India and Southeast Asia. But yeah, eventually we really want to get to that segment of customers.
So it's a stepping. So again, it's working your way up to that, though. Again, you won't be inhibited by the scale because your ability to scale, you're already there, probably. Yeah,
from a scale perspective, I don't think so. So we already have India's one very large, e-com company, or they're already sending 1 billion emails a month through our platform today.
All right,
and
scale
it just
issues.
works.
No,
Yeah,
a
so
billion a
scale,
month, 12 billion a year. Yeah, scale is not an issue as I thought.
Scale is absolutely not an issue. That is something which I think we've been lucky on that part. Being in India where there's already so much of consumer and internet penetrations. You need to have scale in everything you do. If you don't have scale, very difficult to succeed.
Right. My last question, or one of my last questions.
Maybe more. He's got lots of questions.
I know it's such a great conversation, and Kalpit, we so appreciate that. You haven't said time out. I can't answer that question.
Right.
But Indian companies have long been sort of the technical backbone of a lot of American companies.
Yep.
Who have set up operations in India around campaign production or engineering. When I was at Axiom, we had a team in India doing a lot of our custom engineering. You must get a lot of satisfaction. All these American companies have been in your backyard for years. So tell me how it feels that now you're coming here and competing for business here, and not how that represents India Martech's advances, where you're not just this sort of back end production shop, but you're now coming and competing against those same companies over here. You must get tremendous satisfaction from that.
No, absolutely. Way back in 1998, when I had joined Netcore, and me and my founder were discussing, we used to pick up some projects from some of the Indian companies, and we used to do some website development projects and some other web projects, web development projects. But after a year of doing it, we kind of agreed and said we're not going to do projects for anyone. Yep. What we'll always do is we'll build products, because that gives us the most satisfaction. And since then, we've never actually done projects for any company, be it for India or for US companies. Building products, building platforms is something which has been very close to me and my founder and to the entire organization, I would say. When we really now are getting to the US market and some of these other Western countries, it gives us a great sense of pride and satisfaction. And I think kudos to the team over here who've been really building some great products, and we're just helping them take this product which they built to some of these extremely advanced countries where the maturity of the customers are very, very, very high. So the product really gets tested, evaluated very critically. And I think there's a lot of learning we've had over the last 20 months since we've started our journey in the US market. We've had some great product capabilities that some of our customers have really appreciated, and they've seen that maybe they've not seen it in some of the products back in the US. We're investing a lot on machine learning and AI, because we believe that's going to really change the way marketers are going to use marketing tech products. So we're trying to bring in a lot of machine learning capabilities, right from email delivery to the campaign management solution, to how and which users are going to churn out from your platform, which segment of users you should be sending, what type of content. So some very interesting ML/AI work is going on, and we hope that the brands in the US really start appreciating some of this good work we've been doing for them.
Makes sense to me.
Great. Yeah. Paul, do you have anything?
I just want to hear the lightning round. That's where my head's at, Chris.
That's where I thought your head would be at. All right, Kalpit, you've seen this show before, so I think you know, but for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the lightning round is how we end every show. I have 5 words written down, and I will say the word to Kalpit, and we want to know the first thing that comes to his head, whether it's a word or a phrase or whatnot. And typically, there will be one answer that Paul and I will drill down into. This is the Indian version of the lightning round. So, just so we're all aware. Okay, first word. Are you ready, Kalpit?
Yes.
Okay, first word. Corker.
Sorry?
Corker.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to get the word.
Corker. Corker.
Okay. Bottle?
What is that?
Bottle.
Mountain.
Ah, okay. Not what I was looking for, but okay. Number 2, Assam.
T.
Mhm.
Yes.
Good. That is the right answer there.
Home run.
If there's ever a right answer, you hit the right one there.
Right. Right. That was maybe the best answer of all time. That will go in the Hall of Fame. The next one I may mispronounce. Bindas.
Bold.
There we go.
Or
Number 4.
courageous, if that's the other word. Yeah.
Right. That's a slang term, Paul. I mean, I know you're not up on Indian slang,
That's
but
true. That's true.
I do my research for these. These aren't casual,
The fact that you knew how to pronounce it or had to permissionize the pronunciation tells me you're right on top of the pulse, Chris.
No, absolutely. Use it right. Bindas. It's called bindas.
See? Okay. Thank you, Calvin. Number 4, cloud.
Cloud.
Netcore.
Like it.
Netcore.
Okay.
That also the right answer.
And number 5, last one, tiger.
Girnar. Girnar is the forest where there are a lot of tigers.
There you go.
Awesome. And for those people who are watching, tigers are not native to Africa. They are only native to India. So hence, if you're wondering why I had tiger in there, it's because the only place on earth where there are wild tigers is, believe it or not, in India.
I did not know that, Chris.
You did not know? See, this we try to be educational.
Siberian tigers, those are from India?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Okay. India and Russia.
Okay.
India and Russia. They're not in Africa, okay?
Okay,
fair. They're not in Africa. If they were in Africa, they would be the king of the jungle because tigers can beat lions anytime, all the time.
Right.
Well, Kalpit, you've been an outstanding guest. So happy you were able to join us today to kick off season 3. Lots of great stuff that we learned about you and how the building's going to continue. You built again a great company over the last 22 years. My maths are bad. 22 years, but you've got great plans to continue that building, not rest on your laurels. And again, that's the spirit of that we're looking for in our Builders series. Paul, any last thoughts from Chattanooga, Tennessee?
Yeah, so grateful to have you on the show. Getting to talk through sort of plans of Netcore, where you're headed, what you're doing, how you're operating internationally. Congratulations again on the hires. I think those are fantastic, moving in a fantastic direction. And excited to see where you guys go.
Yeah, we'll have to bring you back down the road and hear how things have been going in your U.S. expansion.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you very much, Chris and Paul. I think thank you very much for having me on the show. And I've been really listening to a lot of these episodes which you all have been doing, and some of them are phenomenally good. The speakers, the way you all run this show is something which I look forward and I learn a lot of things. So my weekends, many times, for that hour and a half goes in listening to some of these very interesting conversations you've been having. So thank you very much for making me a part of this show, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, delighted to have you. And again, thanks for being a fan. So until next week, folks, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome back. What a great show. Kalpit really brought the firepower. It was really cool that questions that he should have said, I can't answer that.
Yeah. No, it was great. I mean, to get a CEO on the show and to have him share his thoughts and approaches. Again, I think that just sets the tone for the entire season. I think that was a great show to kick it off. Yeah. And again, we were very lucky to have him, and we'll be checking back in with him in future seasons, I hope. Also, I want to point out, producer Dave, it's nice to see what the background actually where you are during, in the producer booth during our broadcast. After all these other backgrounds, folks, that's literally where he is at the moment.
Right.
Here in my living room, this is just a peek behind the curtain.
So Paul, what do you have
behind the curtain and in front of the curtain? You know what I mean?
Well, this is the
curtain.
I'm
Oh,
encouraging.
he just gave it away. He put his hand in front of the mic and it blocked the mic, folks.
David, I feel so misled.
I can cut that out.
Oh, wait a minute. I just looked closely. Here's what you got to really love. The Joe Rogan
You
Experience
didn't
logo.
see that to begin with?
No, I did not see that. So, David, I mean, are you sending a message that you finally accepted his offer
I don't know what you're talking about.
leave our show and work on his show?
I've never heard of the guy. I produce
Oh.
one show only.
I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Marriott.
Me? Oh,
Yes.
Didn't we have that?
Well,
last
we
week's
did.
episode?
But no, what I wanted to say was we could have taken your lightning round with Calpit, and it could have just as easily been the Tennessee edition.
Really?
Yes. Watch. Hey, David, let's do the lightning round Tennessee edition, okay? First word, corker.
Bob.
Oh, Bob Corker, our former U.S. Senator from the state of Tennessee. Also
Great
from
answer.
Chattanooga. Got it. Good. I
Let's
don't know
see
that
if he
you'll get
fails on the
this
other
one, David. The word is tiger.
For Chattanooga, I'm not sure.
No. Just think about, well, that's maybe more of a stretch, but I would have said William Blake.
Huh?
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the shadows of the night, neither hand nor eye will see. No.
Who's William
Dream
Blake?
my fearful symmetry. You've never heard that poem before, Chris?
No, I don't like poems. This is for the Margaret McMullen show. She was on weeks ago. Margaret would have appreciated this poetry, this jam poetry.
William Blake. You don't know William Blake.
I thought he was Beretta.
You thought William Blake was Beretta.
Yeah, he played Beretta on TV.
No, William Blake, poet, almost, I want to say poet laureate. Like he's,
Oh, that was Robert Blake who
yes,
played Beretta.
that's a different guy altogether.
Different guy.
No. So I was hoping the culture that David and I share would rub off there. So, but a couple things to call out, Chris. You're back from the great state of Alabama.
Yes, we would have last week had we recorded last week. We recorded a pre-show.
Yep.
That will be in an unreleased vault where I was actually in our Alabama house. It was nice, and instead of the green that we have here, it was all white and looked really great. But that went into the vault.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, it seems to me that you're much less Southern today. Where last time we were together, it felt like I was talking to a peer. Where now I feel like you're across the Mason-Dixon line, and I just don't even know who you are.
Well, that's fair. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. And someone who was born in Texas, it's very easy for me to be at home both in, south of the Mason-Dixon or north of the Mason-Dixon. So,
Right.
Now, Producer David, for those at home who need this, would you explain what the Mason-Dixon line is?
It's the dividing line between was it originally is it a remnant of the Civil War? Is that what it is?
Oh, for gosh sakes. The Mason-Dixon line. Come back next week and explain. Come back prepared to talk about the Mason-Dixon line. Anyway, we'd love your thoughts.
I think that's fair. I think that is totally fair. Give Producer David
homework,
Chris.
We'd like a report that includes visual aids on the Mason-Dixon line. So there's your assignment.
Chris, I have a Southern question for you.
Sure.
Sweat bee. That's your lightning round today. What's the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word sweat bee?
Oh, bees that are attracted to sweat.
I don't know. David, do you want to tell Chris what a sweat bee is?
So sweat bees, I think, come in many forms down here. It's anything that isn't a recognizable variety of bee. It's not a honeybee. It's not a wasp. It's not a hornet, and it's not a bumblebee. But it is, it's a small bee that we may or may not be attracted to our sweat, and they give you
microscopic-ish.
Do what?
Small, tiny.
Yeah, very small, very small. But I kind of, it's a general term for me. I think it's just, if anything stings me and it hurts a little bit, I call it a sweat bee.
It hurts a lot, Chris. Like, that's the deal. Is it's not a sting, it's a bite, and you can't see them. There's nothing before or after. All of a sudden, you just hurt out of nowhere. My first experience, this is when we first moved to Tennessee. I was mowing the lawn, and all of a sudden, I get it's like a needle going into wherever it is.
Ouch.
And you're like, ah! And so I throw the lawnmower, and I just start running as fast as I possibly can.
Well, apparently we don't have those in Alabama, because I didn't get any...
you do. You just don't know about them because you're so new to being a Southerner. Yeah, you have sweat bees there.
Well, I'll be on the lookout for them, but hopefully the Mosquito Authority, which is the folks who demosquitoize our lawn, are handling the sweat bees at the same time. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I think my overall belief is sweat bees are impervious to all predators, sprays. I mean, they'll survive anything, Chris.
Well, I'll have to report back on that. I won't be back in Alabama, hopefully in October. Maybe I'll even be able to do a show from Alabama in October.
Hopefully this whole COVID situation will be such that we can all do the show from Alabama.
I would love to have everybody to Alabama. We got lots of room.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah,
well, again, great kickoff. Show. I'm very excited for folks. Stay tuned for later this week for when we announce week 2's guest. But we're really excited with who we got for week 2.
And week 3.
Another great example of someone who's built something and that she should be very proud of. So more on that later this week.
He just gave a hint away in case you're wondering. She. So you can narrow down the U.S. or the whole world's population
50%, right? 50%.
That's a pretty
yes,
good tell. Honestly,
she's a she.
Yeah.
Honestly, no. I think there's plenty of builders to sift through in that regard. But
for sure. But the point is, we've narrowed it down by 50% for those tracking at home. There you go.
So right. So if you want to make a guess, send it
Twitter.
to what's our email address or email address?
emailgeekscoffee@gmail.com. But honestly, do it publicly. Do it on Twitter. Let us know who you think the guest is,
or should be.
Right, and Chris will give you one of those Email Connect shirts that.
No, only if you get it right. No, it's not Email Connect. It's Marketing Democracy limited edition shirts, which I'm sure we're getting plenty of email on that, Paul, because I'm sure people waded through that entire episode of just you and me.
Awesome.
And got to that point. So I'll be interested to hear how many Marketing Democracy shirts I have to send out. But David, any closing thoughts? I know you look very pensive. I know you're already thinking about the project that we've assigned you and how you're going to handle that. But any other thoughts?
Have a good week, everybody.
I hope it's a fantastic, like classic old school book report. You know what I mean?
Oh, I can't wait. And if you can somehow work in a volcano erupt, your own little clay volcano eruption. I'm just saying. I mean, it'd be a diversion if he doesn't do a good job on the rest of it.
That's true. Which is the show. I mean, that's part of what makes David is the show. All right.
Right.
Well,
all right. Thanks everybody. We'll
thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, comment, tell everyone you know. Thanks.
Yep.